This video is brought to you by Nebula. Despite being NATO allies, Greece and Turkey have traditionally had bad neighbourly relations, thanks to unresolved maritime disputes, the status of Aegean islands, Cyprus and more. Last year, Turkey's President Erdogan said the Greek Prime Minister did not exist to him, adding that he'd never meet him again. But this year, things seem to have turned around, with a new and positive era declared. So in this video, we'll have a look at why Turkey and Greece don't usually get along, what's now changed, and whether this positive energy will last. Before we start, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell to stay in the loop and be notified when we release new videos. First, we need to talk about maritime boundaries. Under the UN Law of the Sea, territorial waters extend up to 12 nautical miles from the coast, and exclusive economic zones, or EEZs, extend up to 200. Within EEZs, countries have exclusive rights over the exploitation of resources, including things like oil and gas. Now, looking at a map of the Eastern Mediterranean, particularly the Aegean, you can quite quickly see why things might be complicated. The vast majority of the islands in the Aegean are Greek, even those much closer to mainland Turkey than Greece. In cases where countries' waters overlap, it's up to the nations involved to come to an agreement on their maritime boundary, which usually ends up being the median line between them. Currently, Greece and Turkey both claim territorial waters extending 6 nautical miles from their shores, though Greece says it reserves the right to extend this to up to 12 nautical miles under the Law of the Sea, which Turkey is not party to. Thanks to all its islands, even just with the 6-mile strip, Greece has much greater control over the Aegean, while Turkey's waters are much more limited. This would be even more imbalanced if Greece did extend to 12 miles. In 1995, the Turkish parliament declared that if Greece unilaterally extended its waters, Turkey would consider it a casus belli, or cause for a war. Additionally, Turkey accuses Greece of breaching the 1923 and 1947 treaties by militarizing its islands in the Aegean. Turkey's President Erdogan even said in 2022 that Turkish forces could come suddenly at night, and also said in a speech that Turkish missiles can reach Athens. The maritime border dispute is complicated further by Cyprus, whose control is split between the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, recognised only by Turkey, and the Republic of Cyprus, the island's internationally recognised government. These disputes mean that there are swathes of the Eastern Mediterranean covered by overlapping EEZ claims, with the stakes raised even higher due to the presence of significant reserves of natural gas. These gas fields have been a major source of tension, with Turkey in particular being frustrated at being on the sidelines while the likes of Greece, Cyprus and Israel cooperate on energy projects. In 2020, the Greek and Turkish navies shadowed each other as Turkey sent a research vessel, escorted by Turkish warships, into Greek-controlled waters to survey the seabed. Erdogan said Turkey would retaliate if Greece attacked the research ship, and then said in September that Greece would either understand the language of politics and diplomacy, or in the field with painful experiences. The saga seriously heightened tensions between the two countries, and Turkey's actions drew condemnation from the EU and US. The most dangerous moment was when the Greek frigate Limnos and the Turkish frigate Kemal Reis accidentally collided in mid-August, highlighting the risk of the potential for escalation. In the end, the Orak Reis returned to port ahead of an EU summit where leaders approved sanctions on a number of individual Turkish officials. But despite all this recent hostility, 2023 has actually seen a remarkably positive shift in relations between the two neighbours. In early September, at a joint press conference between the Greek and Turkish foreign ministers, Turkey's Hakan Fidan said that they had entered a new and positive era in their relations. This meeting came after Greek Prime Minister Mitsotakis and Turkey's President Erdogan had a positive meeting on the sidelines of the NATO summit in Vilnius in July. At that summit, the two leaders agreed to build on the positive momentum and continue active communication. One of the major things that enabled the two countries to reset their relations was the devastating earthquake that hit Turkey in February. Greece was among the first countries to send rescue workers and assistance, a move that was met with great appreciation from the Turkish public and officials. Then, when Greece was suffering from major wildfires in the summer, Turkey dispatched firefighting aircraft in a move that was warmly welcomed by Greece. This so-called earthquake diplomacy had echoes of 1999, when another huge earthquake hit Turkey, and the ensuing help and cooperation helped to mend ties that had deteriorated almost to the point of actual conflict in the years before. Anyway, back to 2023. Another factor may be that the Turkish president and Greek prime minister were both re-elected this year, so they probably have more political space to reach out in a more conciliatory way. The positive leaders meeting at the NATO summit and the recent foreign ministers meeting is, if all goes to plan, just the beginning of a push to further improve bilateral relations. Erdogan and Mitsotakis are due to meet again, this time on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York later in September, and then there'll be a meeting of high-level officials in October. There were also plans for the High-Level Cooperation Council to meet by the end of the year, which would be the first such meetings after a 7-year hiatus. These are all part of a 3-point roadmap set out by the Turkish and Greek foreign ministers. The first point being a resumption of political talks, the second a resumption of confidence-building talks between defence ministries, and the third is the advancement of a positive agenda on things like tourism and the climate crisis. Now, it's still early days, but it's hard to overstate just how different this new tone is compared to not that long ago. It was only in May 2022 that Erdogan declared that Mitsotakis no longer exists for him and that he would never agree to meet with his Greek counterpart. This comment was sparked by a speech to the US Congress where Mitsotakis seemed to urge lawmakers to block the sale of US weaponry, including F-16 fighter jets, to Turkey, which he said would increase instability in the region. Congress continues to block this arms sale to Turkey, with Foreign Relations Committee Chair Senator Bob Menendez saying Turkey, among other things, must end its belligerence towards Greece first. So the new cautious positivity coming out of the recent Greco-Turkish meetings may go some way towards finally clinching the deal with the US. The big question is, will this new positive approach from both Greece and Turkey last? Mitsotakis and Erdogan at least appear to hope so, but ultimately only time will tell. The two sides may be a long way from actually resolving their disputes, but they have at least agreed to try and work towards doing so, which is a major improvement on the past few years. Now, clearly this is an issue important for both Turkey and Greece, but there are other global issues that affect nearly all countries, and one of these is the global fertility crisis, which we actually discussed in the Daily Discussion. There, Rory and Zach sat down to discuss the intricacies of this to help us better understand what's really going on. In fact, we release these daily discussions, well, daily, covering a huge variety of topics in a more analytical and detailed way than is possible in these main videos. The entire series is available exclusively on our streaming service Nebula. If you've been thinking about signing up, then I have some good news. For a limited time, we're offering lifetime memberships. Yep, if you sign up for a lifetime membership, you get access for as long as both you and Nebula exist. Plus, you're also funding new original content from your favourite creators. In fact, if you sign up using our link, then a third of that money goes straight to us, and the rest goes into the pool to develop new Nebula originals with bigger budgets and better production. Now, it's clearly a lot of money, and honestly, the best value plan is still the annual one. But if you really want to support independent creators and help us make even bigger projects, then this is the best option. Again, do make sure you use our link so that they know that you're supporting TLDR. And also, this offer only lasts until the end of the month, with no guarantee it'll ever be offered again. So, if you're interested, this is your opportunity. Anyway, thanks for your support and for signing up to Nebula.